Oh, shit. Hi.
Hi. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
Good. I just popped on, so you know,
Yeah.
don't worry about it.
Yeah. My name's Rowan, by the way. I know that it says Riot FM, but I do have a real person name as well. Um,
Okay, nice to meet you, Rowan.
no, nice to meet you too. Do you want to dive straight into it? Do you want to just chat a little bit, warm up?
Oh, I'm fine to jump in. I'm coming from other interviews, so
Yeah,
I
fair enough. You're pretty
feel
warm.
fairly warm.
Yeah. Well, how about we start by just getting you to introduce yourself for the audience?
Sure. Hello, my name is Timothy Nordwind, and I am the bassist in the band OK Go.
Sick. Great job. You're
Thank you.
you're warmed up already.
Yeah, yeah.
So you've got a new album. Um, tell me a little bit about that. It's been a while since your last one.
Yeah, we have a new record that just came out a couple of weeks ago called "And the Adjacent Possible." It is our first record in about 10 years,
Yep.
which would suggest that we haven't been doing anything for like the last 9 years, but that's not exactly true. We we take a long time, or we have taken a long time on our records in the past because we make a lot of music videos for our records, and those videos usually take somewhere between 4 and 6 months to make. So, like on our last record, we put that out in 2015, but then we toured it until about the beginning of 2019 because we were making so many videos for it. And then when we weren't making videos for it, we were touring it and we were just kind of like going back and forth. So 4 years is a pretty long time to promote one record. Most bands put out two records in that time period, but we were putting out like 6 or 7 videos basically and touring a bunch. And then we stopped. Some of the members in the band had kids.
Yep.
Um, and
Congratulations.
so yeah, thanks. I'm not one of them, but
I
but
think.
uh, but I will pass on your congratulations to Andy and Damien. And Dan, our drummer, also has a kid. And so yeah, we took a little time off so everyone could be good parents. And then some other projects came in. Damien and his wife directed a film for Apple called The Beanie Bubble. I acted in a film, a feature film that's going to be coming out later this year, early next year. And but the entire time we'd been making demos for And the Adjacent Possible. So it's not like we weren't writing and working together, but there were a lot of starts and stops. But it was as it turns out, it's kind of nice. We've never been able to take this kind of time and have this type of perspective when writing a record. So it was interesting to like write something in like 2020 and then come back to it in like 2021 or 2022 and really have that type of perspective where it's like, God, I remember liking this so much more last year. Here's what I like about it. Here's what I think needs some work, And so we were able to kind of work on the record this time in that way. And that was really nice. And I think because of it, there was just like a relaxed nature to the whole thing. And so this record, as a result, sounds the most like a reflection of us than I think any other record we've ever made because we really had time to kind of like make sure that it was exactly what we wanted it to be. And, it has an almost kind of like mixtape quality to it. Because the other thing I think is that after making 4 records, I think we felt like we had planted our flag already. We knew who we were. And so we just started writing songs based on what we felt like in any given week or any given month. And as a result, that meant that like some days we were writing things that sounded like Nile Rodgers, and some days we wrote things that sounded like the Shangri-Las or Frank Sinatra or David Bowie or New Order. And we ended up with like 13 songs that we were like we weren't quite sure if that was like a record or not. And we brought it to a guy who produced our last 2 records, produced and mixed our last 2 records, Dave Fridman, who is like one of my favorite producers and worked with Flaming Lips and MGMT and Tame Impala, you know, um, and many, many more. And we brought the record to him and we were like, is this a record or is this just like 13 songs that we like?
Yeah.
And he was like, I think I can frame this all in a sonic universe that sounds like it belongs together, without you having to like change the style of any of these
Yeah, and like
songs.
the arrangements to like make them just a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that was, no pun intended, music to our ears because we were not in a position really to be like rewriting the record again.
Yeah.
Like we had rewritten it many times. Um, and that's how we got to today, basically.
It sounds like the process was really like I don't know, would you say it's more relaxed than previous records that you'd written together? Like just the process of it, taking that extra time and that sort of like coming back and forth to it over a period of a few years. Like
Yeah, relaxed and like experienced,
yeah,
I mean, I hear the culmination of every single record we've ever made up until now in this record. And I hear not only do I hear like the culmination of the experience, but there's just like a relaxed sort of wisdom that I guess comes from like having been in a band for 27 years and writing our fifth record in our 40s. It's like yeah, it was just sort of like we weren't really paying attention to the culture. We weren't really paying attention to the trends or radio or TikTok or anything. Like we were just like, do we like this? Is this a message that feels like comes from us? Does it feel like our observations of the world around us today? You know? And does it make us feel something? And, we just checked all those boxes. Yes, 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 Um, so yeah, we were much more comfortable in our own skin, I guess I would say, on this record.
yeah, it's funny that you mention all the songs sort of being their own thing a little bit before coming together as part of the record.
Mm,
Do you think that with the way that music promotion is very singles based again at the moment,
mm.
rather than record based, you think that works in your favor?
I
It's
think it
been
does
quite
work.
good.
Yeah, I think that does work in our favor. I mean, I think also the way people experience music now works in the favor of anyone that wants to hand in a mixtape record of sorts.
Yeah,
It used to be when I was growing up, I didn't grow up with streaming services or really the internet. I went to record stores to find out, and I like spoke to the record store clerk who I trusted to find out like what I should be listening to, essentially. Like I'd sort of tell him like I'm into like punk music and like indie music and I like Britpop, like and
yeah.
and then
It's like
he or
going into a
she would.
restaurant. What's good? What do you eat?
Yeah, totally. Like I looked to people to sort of curate my tastes a little bit, and ultimately I would make the final decision on things, but that's how I came to stuff, and it was like one by one. And these days with streaming services, it's like you can learn who Sonic Youth and Etta James are all in the same day, you
Mm.
know,
Yeah, yeah,
and like it can like those like one song can pop up right after another because of the way the algorithm is serving you stuff, and it sort of means that like and people just accept it, which is sort of beautiful in a certain way because it just means like the melting of genres essentially. And so that's kind of fun in a certain sense if you're kind of like we are, sort of these music nerds
yeah.
who really, we used to tell ourselves, no, we can only kind of write within one lane. Um, and as time has gone on, we have allowed ourselves a longer leash as far as that's concerned. On this one, we just got rid of the leash, and we were just like, I think because of the way the world works, it's totally okay for us to write like something that sounds like it should be in a 1960s musical next to something that should be on like Power, Corruption, and Lies by New Order or something like that. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
it's okay. It's just somehow it's okay now, and I'm kind of excited by that. 'Cause it feels very freeing.
Yeah, it's really cool, and I think that there's pluses and minuses obviously to say
Mm.
TikTok really breaking down subcultures. Uh,
Yeah.
as being this, there's very few of those sorts of communities left, but it means that a lot of what might have been niche before is very accessible to everybody,
Hmm. Hmm.
provided that the algorithm thinks that, you'd like it.
Yeah, what I'm hoping is at some point, now that everything has become post
Yeah,
everything, that the real world will somehow come to form around it again.
yeah.
I don't know how that's going to work exactly, but it's like I don't know. I just feel like community and culture has kind of gotten exploded, but doesn't it have to like come back and congeal again? You know what I mean? Like doesn't a
It seems
community have
natural
to
that it
like
would.
it seems natural that it would, and that is my hope for it. That is my big hope for it.
So just jumping back to the music videos, it's an OK Go record. There's going to be some great music videos. Which is your favorite of this project? They take there's so much that goes into them.
Yeah, I mean, boy, it's hard to pick favorites. I usually whatever the latest one is my favorite
Yeah,
because it's like the freshest to me. So I'll just go ahead and say I think the video for Love, which is our latest single,
yeah.
and newest video, which is it's 30 some robots handling 60 some mirrors. And
It looks
and
so cool. I
thank you.
yeah, I saw it on Reddit like when it first came out. Someone had posted. I'm like, genius, genius.
Oh, thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, it's essentially us running through a gauntlet of mirrors in one take. So we're kind of taking everyone along on this event that would, that we're trying to get through. And yeah, it's funny in doing this, I realized maybe more so now than I ever had before that all this video making began as us wanting to essentially relay what would otherwise be a live event if we had a stage and an audience for it,
Yeah,
and it was always sort of like, well, the next best thing we have oftentimes is a camera that we can set up and in a, fairly, sometimes in a fairly primitive way, sometimes in a fairly sophisticated way, take you along on what is essentially a live event, you know.
yeah,
Uh, and we started as a traditional band. Playing on a stage for people has always been the vibe. And at some point, we started coming up with all these things that like we wanted to do on stage, but for one reason or another couldn't make it happen.
it's like something like the mirrors and robots on stage is logistically,
It's difficult.
yeah, it's difficult.
It's tricky. It's tricky. Maybe we could pull that off at the Olympics or the Super Bowl or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
But like,
yeah.
but for the most part, it's a tricky thing, but it really does come from this like very sort of like humanistic kind of place where it's just like we want to put as little in front of the lens and the audience as possible and show you something that if we could do it live, we definitely would. But since we can't, this is the next best thing and come along with us. You know what I mean? And so it still carries along that spirit for me and that I'm so happy that it does,
It's cool. It's really cool.
No, thank you. But I love, we made a video for our song A Stone Only Rolls Downhill,
Yep.
which is 64 cell phones. Each screen has a unique video. Together they make up a moving mosaic.
Yep.
And it's also I love it a lot. I do really love it a lot. And when that came out, that was my favorite.
Yeah. Are there any video ideas that you've had that you just haven't been able to pull off yet?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. That almost became A Stone Only Rolls Downhill, actually. We had an alternative ending to it that we spent way more time than we should have trying to get right. We wanted to use like arms and like body parts basically in all the different phones to create a mosaic of Damien our singer's face singing.
Yeah, right. Okay. That would
And
have been that
yeah,
concept, great. Execution, very,
well,
very, very difficult.
I'll tell you what, we did it. We actually did do it, and it's creepy. It's like really disgusting. It's like this like fleshy, like moving fleshiness of like what is basically Damien say. It just looked awful, and we were
Dude,
just
no,
like,
I gotta say it. I have to say it now. You can't
one of
tell
these
me
days,
it looks fucked and then not show it to me.
yeah, one of these days we'll throw it up, I think, online. But you know, we had to do a fairly hard pivot at some
Yeah.
point, and we actually had to like push the entire shoot back because we couldn't let it go. Like we were just like, no, this is gonna work. This is gonna work. This is gonna work, and it almost sunk the entire project. But I would say, let's see. Yeah, there's we've been fairly fortunate that like once you know the way we do our videos is like there's so much advanced planning involved and so
Yeah.
much pre-visualization involved and so much pre-play that goes into getting to the point where we think, okay, yes, we can make a video out of this, you know, we can make this into a short film of sorts. So, you know, we've almost never gone through an entire play period where like we haven't gotten to the end and felt like, yeah, okay, there's something here, and we feel fairly confident that we can get it done. You
Mhm.
know, there's been I guess there's been a couple of moments where we have started play on something and either it seemed like this is completely impossible or just not inspiring enough or something like that. And we've dropped it pretty quickly, but we've gotten pretty good at knowing like, well, actually, no, we haven't, based on what I just told you about. But like in the past, like we have dropped a couple things in the past where it's just like we did like a week of testing and it sort of felt like there wasn't enough there
Yeah.
to make an emotional arc out of 3.5 minutes, essentially.
And it's one of those things where as you get more experience, naturally you're going to become a little bit more ambitious in what you can pull off. Um,
Yeah, yeah, we have certainly become more ambitious in the last 20 some years of making our own videos. That's true. And we've gotten good at just kind of taking good calculated risks, I would say, you know.
yeah.
Um, and we've certainly gotten to the point where, like, say with the robots and stuff like that, where it's like we got to a point where we're like, we've got enough cool tricks, we've got enough cool um like magical moments to stitch this together, and it still felt like really overwhelming, you know, and scary for sure. But yeah, I would say we've gotten good at sort of like just embracing that excited scariness and pushing through, you know. And I feel like that's kind of what makes our videos unique to us because I just don't know that many people that would spend this much time and this much effort on it. I certainly don't know any bands that would do this. Like no bands are really interested in
Doing music
making
videos.
videos.
Yeah.
No, they don't want to do that.
Oh,
You
fuck.
know, I know maybe some filmmakers are interested in this, but yeah, certainly I just don't know any other bands that like want to spend that much time on their music videos, I think, you know. Um, but you know, we spend an equal amount of time on our records too. It's just that like we're usually not filming it. You
Yeah.
don't you don't you don't see it as much, you know. You see some behind the scenes stuff in the studio, but yeah, this record certainly took a long time to make.
No, and it's great. Like
Thank you.
the result is worth it. Um,
Yeah, I'm super proud. I'm super proud of it. Yeah.
so we've been talking for a little bit. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah, it's been a great interview. Um,
Awesome. Thank you.
I want to just ask one last question, which is basically you're doing a lot of these interviews, usually back to back, and every artist has something that they wish they could just like go and nerd out about in an interview. Like, please, I hope somebody asks me like, yeah, about what kind of strings I use or something like stupid. What?
I don't want to talk about my strings.
No, nobody cares about your strings, Tim.
What do I want to talk about? I mean, Wes Anderson? You want
Yeah,
to talk about Wes Anderson?
yeah, fuck yeah. I like I can actually see that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love Wes Anderson. I love his films. I want to be in a Wes Anderson movie. I want him to cast me in something. I just I feel like I've gone to the University of Wes Anderson in my mind, you know, and and gotten a master's degree in it. Um, and I don't know. I love the practical nature of his filmmaking, and I feel like I'm uniquely set up to be in a film like his because I think a lot of the choreography in his movie making is very similar to how we do the choreography in our videos.
I was just about to say, specifically, I think that the way that a lot of your videos are shot draws so much into like inspiration from Wes Anderson. Like it's that sort of that it's that motion of camera and it's the motion of like the framing of and the motion of like your principles in the shot.
You know, in some ways, I think OK Go and Wes Anderson, we make things that are theatrical in nature, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, I always feel like I'm watching a play when I'm watching a Wes Anderson film. Um, and yeah, I think we both take great care to make practical things, you
Yeah.
know. Um, and there's certainly some differences, I think, in like what we're showing you, but um I've always been such a fan of his vision plus his storytelling, you
Yeah.
know, especially in like the earlier ones like Rushmore and Royal
Yeah.
Tenenbaums, stuff
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like there's such heart in those films, and not that there aren't in some of the later ones, but those are the ones that spoke to me really early on, and I still carry with me as sort of like the gold standard of like filmmaking and storytelling.
Yeah. That I mean that's a really cool note to end on. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's hope for the OK Go Wes Anderson collab.
right? Oh my gosh, I could retire after that, I think.
Who knows, might happen.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe he'll see this interview.
Yeah, well, I'll keep mailing it to him along with the glitter bombs and headshots that I already have been.
Please, 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 please. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, that's what I want to talk about today. Wes Anderson.
All right, and we're out of time.
Okay, perfect.
No, thanks, dude. Really great interview. Really enjoyed yeah, your time and your yeah, your input. It was really cool. Really cool hearing
Awesome,
everything
awesome.
sort of
Well,
came from.
thank you for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, dude. Have a good one and enjoy the
All
rest
right.
of your interviews.
Okay, thank you. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.